There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. There'll be love and laughter and peace ever after. Tomorrow, when the world is free, the shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. The shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Angela and John, Leslie and Stuart, Robin and Maxine, Susan and Paul and Andrew and Joe, and their extended, large, wonderful family, I welcome you here this morning to this very private, very special and very intimate farewell for your dear loved family member and dear friend, Angela Joan Levinson. We are Tony and Lily and Helen from Fulham Funerals, and it is our privilege and it is our honour this morning to be conducting the celebration of Angela's life here today on behalf of the family. Now, in our thoughts this morning, we should acknowledge those family and friends who could not be here in person, but are here in spirit and in our hearts. Now, COVID-19 continues to affect the way in which we can farewell our loved ones. Restrictions are still in place and many people now feel uncomfortable gathering in large groups. And so we realise that there are many people who would love to be here this morning who can't be. Their love and their support is certainly in this chapel. Now, one way in which we've been able to include absent family and friends is to live stream our service, which is what we are doing. And on behalf of the family, we bid a very warm and a very special welcome to all who are taking this stream, and we assure you that we see you as a significant part of our gathering here this morning. Now, the family thought it appropriate this morning that we commence our service with a prayer. And the prayer that I've chosen is the Lord's Prayer, and should you feel comfortable, you're very welcome to join in with me as we recite it. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Now we are gathered here this morning to say our goodbyes to a very, very special lady, Angela Levinson. A person who has left an indelible mark on her family. A person who's made a difference. A person who's contributed to both her birth and her adopted countries. And a person who's left a lifetime of love and memories for her family to cherish. Angela was simply the nicest person you could hope to meet. Her family meant the world to her. She and the love of her life, her devoted husband John, they worked tirelessly to ensure that the Levinson family flourished. Now this included moving the family from Great Britain to Australia in 1956 to seek greater opportunities. And when you think about it, what a mammoth decision to make, to pack up the family, move to a new country and not know anything about employment or where to live. But they did it for their family, and it certainly showed the lovely, beautiful people that they were. Now, Angela was a caring, a considerate, a loving mother and wife who saw the well-being of her family as her main priority in life. Angela was the loving wife of John, and they were together for over 70 years. A loving mother and mother-in-law, a cherished and devoted nana, great-nana and great-great-nana, and a special and dear friend to many. She passed away at her care home in Salisbury South on Wednesday, February the 2nd, aged a wonderful 99 years. Now, while she did miss out on her letter from the Queen by just a very few weeks, a couple of months, the family will never forget her date of passing, all the twos, the 2nd of the 2nd, 22. So you will always remember that date. Now, on behalf of all who loved and respected Angela, I would like just to send a very special message to her this morning from all of us. Angela, our lives go on without you, but nothing is the same. We have to hide our heartache when someone speaks your name. Sad are the hearts that love you, silent our tears that fall. Living our lives without you will be the hardest thing of all. You did so many things for us, your heart was so kind and true. And when we needed someone, we could always count on you. The special years will not return when we are all together, but with the love in our hearts, you will walk with us forever. Now, Angela's life was one of great adventure, and we're going to hear a lot more detail about that in a few minutes. But she was born in 1922 in the United Kingdom, when the country was still recovering from the Great War. As a little girl of 7, she and her family lived through the Great Depression. Times were tough. Families just had to do the best they could. Worse was to follow with the outbreak of the Second World War. And during this time, Angela certainly did her bit for her country. And we'll hear more of Angela's life story shortly. Angela had a great love for her family. Her children meant the world to her, but when we talk about grandchildren and great-grandchildren and little great-great-grandchild in Mia, her love reached an all-time high level. She was one to spread love around generously, and she received abundant love in return. She was certainly a very special lady. And did Angela see Mia? Did she see her? Did she hold her? Oh, was that gorgeous? Yeah. Now, although today should be about celebrating a wonderful long life, the family are naturally grieving. As you know, grief is the price that we pay for love. The more we love, the greater the grief. By being here today, united in your feelings and supporting each other, you can celebrate a great life and be proud you were part of Angela's life. Now, if we look around this chapel this morning, and also to all our friends taking the stream, you'll all notice that you all come from different places. You're all at different stages of your journey through life. Your paths are all varied and you all look at life in different ways. But today you all have one thing in common. At one point or another, and to some degree or other, your lives have touched the life of Angela. And so today you've put aside your usual daily activities and gathered here to give expression to the thoughts and the feelings that well up in you at this time of loss. Now, each one of you have your own very personal, special and individual memories of Angela. Treasure these memories, treasure them forever. They are tokens of a great gift, and that gift being a life that has been shared. Now, they're your memories, no one can take them from you. So it's important that you remember Angela, that you speak of her often and lovingly. And by doing that, you'll be keeping her memory alive in your hearts and in your minds. Now, the family this morning has lovingly paid tribute to those memories by way of eulogies. I'm now going to invite the family to come forward and share some of Angela's wonderful life with us. And I think, are we starting with Susan? Yep. Susan's the first cab off the rank, so thank you, Susan.
Should go all in order. Lovely to see you all here today. Even though it's such sad circumstances, Mum would be so happy for you all to be here. Our precious mum, Joan Levinson, was born Angela Joan Harrison on the 26th of May 1922 to single mum Elsie Harrison, and for the first 5 years lived with her mother, grandparents, aunts and uncles at their loving home in the village of Little Downham in the UK, near the cities of Ely and Cambridge. Elsie Harrison met William Taylor 4 years later after his wife died in childbirth. They married and moved to Burnt Chimley Drove in the village of Littleport in 1927 when Mum was just 5 years old. Mum was idolised by her beautiful loving aunts Ruth and Nell, so it was a big adjustment moving in with her stepfather. She missed her loving Harrison family very much. Mum's name was changed to Taylor, and 1 year later her half-brother Dennis was born. It was farm life, and Mum was very lonely during her childhood. With so much work to do on the farm, Mum spent many hours alone or looking after her young brother, while Will and Elsie tended the vegetable crops and managed their produce store in Littleport. Mum often mentioned to us that having to walk a long way to school by herself and cross a rickety bridge that terrified her because she couldn't swim. She fell in one day, and luckily a neighbouring woman had been watching and managed to pull her to safety. Life improved as Mum reached working age and was employed as a clerical assistant at the Co-op store in Littleport. They sold a range of clothes and other household products. The manager of the Co-op soon realised what an asset Mum was to the business and put her in charge of accounts. Mum excelled in this position, giving her the confidence in herself that was lacking. World War II broke out in 1939 when Mum was just 17. By 1942, the world was in turmoil and Britain was at the brink. At age 20, Mum decided to enlist, and along with many other young women, she headed off to work in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. The WAAF had operated during World War I and was reformed in July 1939 when World War II seemed imminent. Mum worked in a munitions factory with other women producing military weapons, ammunition, equipment and stores. Then they loaded them onto planes and armoured cars. Mum, Joan, was stationed at the same base as Dad, who was an armoured car commander with the Royal Air Force. Mum often told the story of being emotional one day at work after a failed romance, when she heard a deep male voice saying, "He isn't worth your tears," and looking around saw charming officer John Levinson. Their courtship started that day. It was a harrowing time in the world, but Joan and John fell in love and were married when the war ended. Sadly, Dad passed away the 4th of October 2015. John and Joan were together for over 70 years. After the war and returning to civilian life, John and Joan made a home in Cambridge, England until 1955, when they emigrated to Australia on the Sitmar line of Fair with their 4 children, Angela, Leslie, Robin and Susan, me, arriving in Outer Harbour, South Australia in January 1956. First impression wasn't good. for darling Mum, leaving her lovely home and extended family, travelling 6 weeks on a ship with 4 young children, and on arrival travelling another 43 kilometres, 26 miles, to be greeted by a rusty Nissan hut and 90-degree heat. Our new home, which was located at the Williston Migrant Hostel and had been the Royal Australian Air Force camp, and currently is the site of the Elliot Goodger Memorial Park in Gawler. Well, life moved on, and after a short stay in the Nissan hut, we moved briefly to Robe on the southeast of South Australia, and then to York Peninsula, first living in Kadina and then Wallaroo. Wallaroo has great memories for us all, Mum and Dad working together running a BP service station. Life in Wallaroo was blissful, sun and surf and lots of freedom. Mum and Dad were on many committees, Mum a strong member of the CWA and both of them on the kindergarten committee. Dad was a councillor on the Wallaroo Council, and together he and Mum attended many social functions and making wonderful lifelong friends. Margaret Skipworth, her husband Ross, and their 5 gorgeous daughters have always been very special to our family. As 1964 approached, it was decided we moved to Adelaide, where there was more employment potential. Little brother Andrew made an appearance the following year. A joy and a shock, as Mum was 43 years old. Andy arrived already an uncle to David and Kerry, Angela's son and Leslie's daughter. The 3 of them born the same year, 1965. What a year. Mum was a new grandmother, but also a new mum. Years went by, and by 1973, Mum and Dad and 8-year-old Andy rented out their house in Clearview and bought a delicatessen in Largs Bay. It was a great little business back in the time when delis were utilised by most of us for everyday needs. The lottery had just been added and other news agency supplies, so it was a thriving business. Mum was very organised, Dad not so much. It all got too hard to maintain harmony, so they sold it a year later, luckily making a tidy profit. Shortly after, Dad and brother Robin started up a business, Festival City Agencies. Mum managed the shop on Payne Road through the week and operated a stand at the Saturday markets in Melbourne Street and Trash and Treasure markets on Sunday for many years. Mum loved helping out and was good at sales and making money. She was the best one to take to an auction if you needed someone with you to bargain the price. One bit of trivia not many of you would know, but Mum had very unique handwriting. And it was a hell of a job trying to forge her signature on school notes. Yeah, I'm sure Robin and Andy know what I'm talking about. It wasn't hard enough to read, let alone copy. A few health setbacks in 2009, and Mum at age 87 moved into Salisbury Private Nursing Home. With wonderful caring staff, Mum thrived. She loved joining in with various activities, floor bowls, bingo and anything else that was on offer. With her humour mostly intact, she entertained the staff and they loved her bright, happy personality. Always sweet and ready with a smile, never wanting to be an inconvenience. Different staff came and went, but they all loved Mum. We thank Jess Moore and the amazing staff at Salisbury Private Nursing Home for looking after Mum so well for 13 years and who continue to work tirelessly to make everyone's life in the home as fulfilling as possible. Our beautiful sister Leslie has devoted many years to making sure Mum is okay and has everything she needs, including all the hugs and love possible. I'm sure it made a big difference to Mum's longevity having Leslie, Stuart and Kerry, Andy and Joe and all the other family members who spent many hours with Mum, chatting and laughing and brightening her day. Anyone that was lucky enough to come for a meal at Windsor Avenue would remember that Mum's roasts were legendary. Nothing else came close. Perfectly sliced meat, mouth-watering roast potatoes, cauliflower cheese and Yorkshire pudding with her amazing onion gravy. Nothing seemed to faze Mum. She could have up to 10 plates waiting to be filled, and she would, making sure they were all loaded, except her own. Mum's biggest love was her children and grandchildren. Any child in Mum's life was a priority. Mum was fiercely protective of her family. She was the most wonderful mum and grandmother we could ever have imagined. Nothing was too much trouble, always giving of herself. If she heard a cough or a cry in the night, she would be there in a flash with her soft, melodious voice making everything better. We love you so much, Mum. You were strong and brave and soft and resilient. When we came to Australia, you showed us a security that you didn't feel, so we wouldn't be afraid. You left your much-loved mother when you were only 33 years old, and you never saw her again. How that must have broken your heart. You lived a wonderful life, and no doubt that you had a direct line to heaven when you left us. But I'm sure we will see you again one sunny day.
Well done, Susan. Well done. Now, is any other family saying something? I've got a note here from Joe. Joe, did you want me to read that, or are you sure? You're not coming up? Okay. This is a lovely note handwritten by Joe, daughter-in-law. And it says here, to my dear mother-in-law, Joan. Should I call her Joan or Angela?
Joan.
Oh, okay.
James sort of Joan, but she went by the name of Joan.
Okay, we'll call her Joan. Andy and I love you so much and we miss you lots already. Andy, Leslie, Stuart and I would visit you quite often together and we had so many fun times with you. My favourite was this one day when Andy was being cheeky and you said, here we go again. Leslie, Stuart, Andy and I laughed so hard as it was the way that you said it. It was so funny. I'm sure Leslie and Stuart would remember that visit with you as well. They're all nodding their heads. One of the nurses at the home bought you a baby doll for Christmas one year, and that baby, Angela or Andrew, was the light of your later life. It was so beautiful to see you talk, kiss, hug and interact with your baby. Sometimes when we visited you, Andy would play with your baby and you watched him every second to make sure the baby was safe. Isn't that gorgeous? Andy often tells me how much he loves you and how you shaped him into the wonderful man he is today. You taught him so well to make your Yorkshire puddings. He makes them for me when we have a roast or even sometimes just for lunch. I'm so lucky as I had the best mother and father-in-law ever. Not everyone is as lucky as me. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank you for welcoming me into your family. You made me feel so welcome from the very first day I met you. I'm sure you are now with John in heaven, and I bet his first words to you were, do he love I? Is that how you say it? Do he love I? Do he love I? Do you love, yeah, beautiful. As he would always say that to you when we visited you both. Finally, Andy and I would like to thank everyone who's come today to farewell you and into your next chapter. You will forever be in our hearts and memories. Andy and I love you so much. May you rest in peace. Love from Joe. Beautiful words, Joe. Thank you. Now, there was no one else to speak. Yep, lovely. Come forward.
Beautiful eulogy, Mum. Good morning, everyone. Just a quick, some beautiful memories of my nan. One day I was sitting with Nan at the kitchen table and we were talking about the Paraka markets, and she said, Shane, listen very carefully. Do you go to all the storeholders before you set up? And do you buy from all the storeholders first before you set up? I said, of course. That's a brilliant idea. And I've always remembered her saying that. And then with her cards, she was an unbelievable card player. She just had this unique way of putting her card right at the end and winning on the very last trick. Not just putting it that way, but putting it like that, like a big flourish, or a Primantis going bang. Yeah, and also another time when Uncle John and Rob, when we were coming down the hill, we had a little bet what time we'd get to Nan's because she was getting some pancakes ready. And Rob won because he drove there quicker and he got the time right. And yes, we enjoyed the beautiful pancakes that Nan made. I think I had half a dozen pancakes, they were that nice. There was one time, Nan, I must have been 14, I'm not sure how old, but Nan did take me to the bathroom once, and I must have said something, a swear word to her, and she put soap in my mouth. I still remember it. Yeah. But finally, when I was little, this is a special memory. Staying in Nan's house many times, I'd wake up, wear my pyjamas, and I could see through Windsor Avenue, the screen doors, and I could see the cartoons. And then I'd walk around, and then Nan would have all the cereal and the toast and everything. And then I'd see the fire going, that gas heater that Nan had. That was just sums up Nan. She looked after all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. We always get a different perspective when we hear the stories from the grandchildren, and they see their gran in a different light than what the children do. So thank you so much for that. That's great. Now as we take a moment just to reflect on... No, I've got Kerry all organised. Yeah. I haven't forgotten. Yes, I know. Yeah, you're right. Now as we take a moment just to reflect on the effect that Joan or Angela had on your lives and yours on hers, please, we've got a very special treat. Sit back and watch a beautiful photo presentation that's been lovingly prepared by the family, and while it's playing, you might like to dwell on one particular very special memory you have of this wonderful lady. That was so well done. I think we've got Andrew to thank for that, have we? Well done, Andrew. That's a beautiful presentation. Lovely, lovely keepsake. Now, as we continue this time in reflection of Angela's life, I'd like to invite granddaughter Kerry to come forward. I think she's got a very special poem that she'd like to dedicate to her Nan.
Thank you. I do have a leaky eye, so thank you to my very long, beautiful friend, long-time friend Julie for helping me out with this. I changed the title and I made it longer and changed a lot of the words to an already written poem. I called it Our Angel. A beautiful branch has fallen from our tree. I hear her voice whisper, "Grieve not me." Remember the best times, the laughter and song, the good life I lived while I was strong. Continue my heritage, I'm counting on you. Keep smiling and know the sun will shine through. My mind is at ease, my soul is at rest, remembering all how truly I was blessed. Continue traditions, no matter how small. Go on with your life and please give it your all. And now I can rest without any pain until the day comes and we're together again. We will be together again, I know that is true. I will leave plenty of room on our star for you. Our beautiful branch hasn't fallen to the ground. She's up in the blue sky, I feel her around. Thank you.
And did you have... Good.
My sister Alison wrote this.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, so I've just got to figure it. Okay. Weeks have passed, they went so fast, yet it only seems a little while ago. A family aches, tears continue to flow. A lady loved by many, a lady who taught me so much, a lady with loving words, lives touched. These are our memories of her, watching her soapies on the TV, always offering visitors biscuits and tea. Yorkshire puddings and amazing English roast dinners, outings to Macca's, bingo winners. Catching a plane to visit in school holidays, going to Kmart in her car. The vision of Nan and Grandad waving goodbye on their porch from afar. Anytime pancakes with lemon and sugar or Nutella and cream. Board games, cards, mending a seam. Doll babies, KFC, curlers and shower cap hairdryer. Christmas pageants, Toys R Us, trips to Myer. A celebration of your life is this day. In our hearts you'll always stay. Memories may fade, hearts will slowly mend, but you will always be loved as a grandmother, mother, sister, auntie or friend. And that's from the Levinson, Murray and Phillips family.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now we're... Okay, now... Angela has led a wonderful, long and beautiful life. She's loved and been loved by a very special man. She's seen her children grow and succeed, and she's had the absolute joy of grandchildren and great-grandchildren and a little Mia arriving, a great-great-grandchild. She's had her share of upset and tragedy as well, losing her dear husband John. But it is her time now to go. She would want you to release her. Never forget her, never stop loving her, but let her go. And this little verse is entitled, Miss Me, but let me go. So when I've come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too much, and not with your heads bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey that we all must take, and each must go it alone. It's all part of a master plan, a step on the road to home. So when you are lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know and lose your sorrow in doing good deeds. But miss me, but let me go. And I'm sure those words would resonate with Joan. Now, all of you here this morning, you're all united by two common bonds. Firstly, there is your sorrow of losing a dearly loved family member or a close friend. And some of you will no doubt feel the regret of not having had the opportunity of saying a final farewell to Angela. But there is a deeper bond that unites you all and draws you together, and that is of having had the privilege and the good fortune to have had Angela in your lives and the special difference that her presence made you. For each one of you, Angela was unique and irreplaceable. So tenderly now and reverently we start to say our final goodbyes to Angela. We are grateful for the life that has been lived and all that that life has meant to us. We are glad that Angela lived. We are glad that we saw her face and felt the touch of her hand. We cherish the memory of her family life, her words, her deeds, her care and concern, her vitality and involvement, especially in conversation, her loyalty to her friends, her place in history. We cherish her friendship and most of all, her love. It's now time to commit Angela's physical body to the earthly elements, and I realise that this time of parting is the most difficult. But before we do, let us be thankful and grateful for Angela's life. Remember the impact of her life on your life. Remember her smile, her frown, her sense of humour, and the way she lived her life. Remember the significant moments and the fun times you had with her. But you'll remember Angela by the memories she leaves behind. But most of all, remember her with love for as long as you live. We come into this world with nothing and we leave with nothing. But the memories we leave behind are a mark of our life's successes. Nothing can possibly detract from the love, joy and friendship you shared with Angela. And nothing can possibly affect the happiness and the depth of experiences that she knew. So as we move to our formal final goodbye, perhaps as a mark of respect to your dear friend and family member, we might stand for her committal. Firstly, a special prayer for Angela. Lord, thank you for the life of Angela Joan. We shed tears because she died, but can smile because she lived, touching us in so many ways. She was a wife, a mother, a nana, a great nana, a great nana, a friend. Lord, we remember your words, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live even though she dies, and those who live and believe in me will never die. Those words give us solace. Please care for Angela Joan. Amen. So here in this last act, in sorrow but without fear, in love and appreciation, we commit the body and the spirit of Angela Joan Levinson to a more peaceful place, and we do so in continuing love and affection for one another. We are glad and we are proud that Angela was among us and walked in our company. Her life we honour, and her memory will always be a part of us. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. We now leave Angela in peace, and with respect we bid her farewell. May she rest in peace. Her pleasures were simple, her needs were few. If her family was happy, she was too. She gave us love in the fullest measure, care, devotion, and memories to treasure. She shared our dreams, our hopes and tears. Thank you, Angela, for those precious years. Please be seated. Thank you, Angela. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your 99 years of love, laughter and friendship. Thank you for just being you. You have filled your niche and accomplished your tasks. You leave the world a richer place than you found it. With great respect, we bid you a final farewell. Continue your journey, Angela, with the love of everyone here, and be reunited with your beloved John, who has gone before you. You live on in the hearts of everyone you touched and nurtured while you lived on this earth. And for all of us here, holding the thoughts of Angela in your hearts means that for you, death ends a life, not a relationship. And just before we finish this morning, I do have a lovely special verse, and I think this could be a beautiful tribute to Angela from her children, great-grandchildren, grandchildren, and their beautiful Mia. And this is entitled, My Mother's Garden. My mother kept a garden of the heart. She planted all the good things that gave my life its start. She turned me to the sunshine and encouraged me to dream, fostering and nurturing the seeds of self-esteem. And when the winds and rain came, she protected me enough, but not too much. She knew I'd need to stand up strong and tough. Her constant good example always taught me right from wrong, markers for my pathway to last a whole life long. I am my mother's garden. I am her legacy. And I hope today she feels the love reflected back from me. And that does conclude our time here together. In a moment, we're going to ask the pallbearers to come forward, and we're going to take Angela out to the hearse as the first step to her private cremation later this afternoon. The immediate family will obviously follow her, and then I'll ask each of you to come out as well. And out at the hearse, you'll be able to come forward and say your own private farewell to Angela. We have some beautiful rose petals and also roses there. Come forward, place them on her casket, say your goodbye, and then you're very welcome to come back into the lounge, have a cup of tea and a coffee and a bicky, and continue the celebration of this wonderful lady's life, but in a lot more relaxed atmosphere. I do thank you on behalf of the family for all being here, and I do thank our friends taking the stream as well. And I say in conclusion that I've learnt that people will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you. And could I have the pallbearers now come forward?
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know